Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for the November 2016 Worldox Virtual User Group meeting, where today we are going to talk about, what are we talking about, Mary Jo? We're talking about relating documents, relating parent documents to child documents, and vice versa. Mary Jo is going to take that topic. And I'm going to go over column layouts, because we get a lot of questions about how to reorganize columns, how to save those, how to add fields, things like that. So I'm just going to cover the basics of column layouts. I am going to go into Worldox, where Mary Jo is going to talk to us about relating documents.
Okay, where are we at, Paul? Where are we at in Worldox here?
I don't know. Let's go to Purdue Law Offices.
Purdue Law Offices. That probably would be good.
Thank you, Mary Jo.
You're welcome.
So we'll type in Purdue, our fictional law firm.
Okay.
And here we have Purdue Law Offices.
All right, so here's just like a list of documents, and relating documents is just that. We have a master document, or we have, we call that the parent document, and then we can relate any number of documents to that. Some examples might be, I don't know, you've got a
deposition testimony together.
Yeah, you can do different
interrogatories and their answers. Things like that. I'm sorry. I'm going to mute my microphone. She's giving me
I'm going to just got to be like, yeah, Paul's going to take it from here.
My mom used to call that the bad eye. Okay.
I can't even look at him. Anyway, what you can do is take a document and you can relate other documents to it so they're easier to find. So you can see if there's a document and any related documents underneath that. So it could be a master, maybe it's the first request for interrogatories, and then maybe you got some interrogatories and you want to relate them to that first request. I mean, it could be all kinds of different things. So to relate documents, there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. First off, we have to be on a document that we want to relate. Okay, so let's say the statement is my main document, and then I want to host or relate documents to that. There's a Relations tab down here at the bottom that I can open up and start. And so right now, it's telling me that I've got that statement document right here. So that's the files that are going to be directly related to whatever document I have highlighted. So that's how this gets populated. If I change that to this one, you see that this one down here is changed. That's the main document right here. If I want to add any documents to relate them to that, I can take that. I'm going to take this one and drag it down in here. And now I've got a document that's related to that document. And I can tell it what the relationship is by clicking on it. These files are related to this. Open the list in a new tab. I can see all the documents that are listed to that relations. I'm going to say no right now. Or I can view that. Well, I think I said no. But anyway, here's my list. So here's my main document and then the documents that are related based on that relationship that I just did. So I can easily, quickly, whatever I need to see there to get into that document, as long as I'm highlighted on that main one and click the relationships, it's going to take me out and show me all of the other documents that are related there. I can open the documents from here, I can view them, and then I can unrelate them. So if at some point this no longer applies, I can unrelate that document and say, yes, go ahead and sever that relationship. It sounds like just like a bad breakup. Anyway, we're severing that relationship. So I'm going to get out of that list now and go back to my main.
Maybe she gave him the bad eye.
Maybe that was it. Maybe he was telling her what to do all the time. Okay, that's why people, I think we're married all the time. We just bicker like an old married couple. Anyway, so I'm going to do that again. So I've got the test. I'm going to click on the relations down here at the bottom. Test here is going to be my first one. I want to relate one in. I can drag it in. The documents stay where they are in their main. I'm just going to grab a couple of them because you can relate more than one. And I can have all these in here. I'm going to pull this up just a little bit so you can see all of my documents that I have. I just got off of that one, so let me get to this one and highlight again. So there's that test 2. Let me grab another one and put it in there. There we go. And there's the other one. So now I've got that. I've got a couple of different statuses here for what I'm directly relating to. Whoops, and I think I changed that to that other one. But anyway, you get the idea. You drag them in and you relate them to each other that way. You sever the relationships by unrelating, and then those will go away, or I can see all of the relationships to a certain document by clicking on that. Now, I can also change it by, what the parent document is. So let's say I drag these in and I'm like, I did what I just did. I kind of did that on purpose. So here's that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So these documents are there. If I want to change who the parent is, I can highlight a document and I can say, make that one the parent. And now that will be the parent document, and these other things will be related to it. Okay, so you can change that parent-child reference by a relationship just by clicking and changing that there. Again, you can unrelate down here, and you can do that. You also can right-click on a document to relate it. So if I was in here, and I don't know if we've got the relation in here, so let me go over here, because sometimes all of our little selections here are not able to be gotten to. Well, maybe I don't have it on that. Am I missing it, Paul?
I don't see it.
I thought we could just right-click and relate, and I think you can. I might just be on the wrong menu. Let me get back here. Let me see if I can pick a different one that I haven't related yet. I know that there's a way to do it. Of course, I'm not going to find it.
No, try
I think, what, maybe it isn't a right click. It may be, but I know it's in here. It's probably buried underneath something I don't have open because I haven't used it here. But there's also a button up here that you can add, and I'm going to show you that real quick. So if I right click to append my buttons, and then once I find that, I'll probably find where that is on the other list, because it's sometimes under a separate menu. That we can add that relate. There it is, relation. So it's under the list tab. So there's a relation. So as long as I'm on that, again, I can click on that relations, and I can do a file is related to what, and I can go ahead and put that in. So just so that you know, you can put those in that way. I am pretty sure there's a right click too. I'm just not sure what it's under at this moment. I'll look for it while Paul is doing that. But I think Patty said that there was a question.
There is a question.
So what is that, Patty?
Actually, we have two questions. The first one is, how do you know if a document has related docs or children?
Okay, so the first thing that I did, if I had one that is, if I want to see if they're related, there is just clicking on this down here to see it. They're popping up down there that these are the relations. So I'm highlighted on one, and there's relations there.
Click on one without relations, just so we can see it.
So here's one that doesn't have relations. So well, now I'm probably going to change it because I'm in the relations. Let me get rid of that for a minute. Go back here. So if I get onto a different document and I click relations, no, that's still showing that. So you know what? There is actually, if I go into the menu, let me go into my. I'm sorry, this is so small. Where's my edit profile? Because I want to say it's on the profile as well. I know there's another. I will find it. List, relations.
Well, it's that same as that button.
Yeah, it is. It's the same there. I know that there's a spot though that you can actually see. I don't know if there's a button here. Let me see if there's a relations button here. Because there is places there you go. There it is, relations.
And I'll show you in just a minute how to add that.
So here is whether or not there's a document that's related. That's what I'm missing in here. Gotta love test data. So our relations has a question mark, and is there a related document to it? And then it does say yes, there is, and then how many, and so
there's
on.
A child.
There's a parent two, and there's a child one, and a parent two related to that.
Yeah.
So that's how you can see it. Now I've made a mess because you wouldn't really have two parents, and you wouldn't, more than likely, you'd probably have children underneath it or whatever. But in clicking and moving these around, I've kind of played with it enough that it's got different things in there. But yes. And another question, Patty?
Yes. Why would you want to relate versus creating a project?
So a project can be lots of documents that have to do with all kinds of things. So let's say that a project is the interrogatories, and maybe there are all kinds of in and outs and all kinds of other documents that might not even be related to that client or that matter. They could be in a whole other location. You might have forms that are in there. A project can hold all kinds of things. Not saying that it wouldn't work. I mean, you could, but a relation is directly related to that document. So if I had an email I sent and I have a response to that email or something that I want to directly relate it to just that document, so if I see it, I can say, oh, yep, there's another document that is related to this one. I could go get to that one right there and instead of a project with all kinds of things.
A project is just like a receptacle,
Mm.
a place where you can hold a bunch of documents, but you can't see that this one relates to that one, which relates to that one.
Correct. And a project, it actually will create like a location where that project is stored, and all those documents will be in there, where relations, they stay right where they are, and you can just then go see whether or not that project, or that document has any other documents that would be related to it.
Usually it's something like interrogatories, depositions, where you've got interrogatories that all relate together but don't relate to the other interrogatories in that case. So you might have a project with all the interrogatories, and then you have this group related and that group related and that group related and that group related because they have to do with different things. Not grouped, but related, so that we actually have a parent and a child. It has a lot to do with the documents relating directly and that parent-child relationship. Any more questions, Patty?
No further questions.
No further questions.
Okay, Paul.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about,
Sorry,
get
get
us
out of
out of
that.
there.
Yep.
There you go.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go back into Purdue Law Offices, and I am going to talk about how to kind of pretty up your column layout and get it to show you what you want. Now, Mary Jo kind of touched on that because when she came in here, there was no way to see the relationships. And there is, again, no way to see the relationships because although she added that, she did not save it, okay? So this is your column layout right here. And we all know probably that if we click on description, we sort by description, and then if we click on modified, we sort by modified. But what a lot of people don't know is that you can add and remove things from the column layout. For instance, if I did not want client description in here, I could take it out. I could just right-click and choose Remove Column. And client description is now gone. Now, when you're moving things around, when you're working with a column layout, I'm getting weird stuff happening because I'm on the iPad. I'm not getting the hand to move these guys. There you go. See, that's working for you. I'm going to actually switch over to this machine because I'm getting some weirdness from my remote desktop client on the iPad. So when you are moving your mouse here, you'll notice that it takes two forms. If I'm over the word, we get the hand, okay? And the hand means, hey, move this. So I clicked and I dragged it over, and now I've got the hand again, and I click and drag it over. Whereas if you've got the down or up arrow, that means go ahead and sort this differently, okay? So if you need to move something, make sure you have the hand. If you need to change the sort order, which we aren't really talking about now because we're talking about column layouts, but just be aware that if you've got that little triangle instead, you're not going to move it. So if I wanted to move this, maybe I want to move this over here, I need to make sure I have the hand, then grab it and move it and let go. Another thing that I can do as I hover over the right-hand side of this column is I can grab the right edge and drag it out. So I have the ability to change the size. I have the ability to move. Of course, it's not part of column layouts, but I have the ability to change the sort order. Just so you know, if you are hovering over a column header that is not the current sort, this is the current sort because it's already got that triangle in there. That means this is an ascending sort on category. If you hover over a column that doesn't have the current sort and you move your cursor slightly up or slightly down, you can actually instantly select whether you're going to sort in a descending order or in an ascending order. As you can see, the triangle's changing. Well, it's not moving very quickly here. Now it's going to sort descending, and now, come on. There we go. Now it's going to sort ascending. Okay, so we have the ability to do that. Not really part of changing the column layout, but be aware of that. So I could move this over, perhaps give myself just a little more room, maybe move categories over, make it a little smaller, and then grab modified with the hand and move it over. Another thing about moving something over, if you want to move this over so it's lined up with categories, I do not have to get it exactly lined up to drop it. If I were to drop it here, it would have some gap. If I were to drop it here, it's just going to readjust itself. So you don't have to have it exactly lined up before you drop it. You just kind of overlap it a little. And when you let go, it lines itself up for you. So don't be too worried about getting it exactly in the right place. You have that overlap that will then adjust itself. Now, we showed how you can right-click on a column and choose Remove. We can also right-click on some blank space and choose Insert. If you instead of right-clicking, if you just left-click on blank space, it kind of assumes that you want to insert, which is kind of nice. And then you have all the different fields that are available to you. For instance, relations was one that Mary Jo pulled up. Retention, search rating, which is kind of interesting. It shows how often it's gonna match, how close it matches the search criteria that you put in. Security, whether it's classified, who the owner is, secured by. So these are your cabinet fields. This is the client cabinet. So we have client code and description, matter code and description, document type code and description, author code and description, and typist code and description. So client code, in my example, might be 10047. Client description might be Purdue Law Offices. Matter code might be 00, because these are practice master matters and we have 2 digits to the right of our decimal point. Matter description might be general matters or trademark dispute or whatever it is that the description is for the matter. Doc type code might be LTR, whereas the description might be letter. That's what those things mean. So if we were to open up Edit Profile and look at doc types, we would see both the codes and the descriptions. If we were to open up authors, we would see the code and the full name. If we were to open up clients, we'd see their codes, which are the numbers, and then their names, okay? Other things that we have, cabinet name. Sometimes it's helpful to know, especially if you're looking at favorites or if you're looking at a mixed group of documents that could come from a whole bunch of different places, to know what cabinet they come from. Most of the documents in a law firm, especially those that lawyers and assistants and paralegals are working with, deal with the client cabinet, but the people in the administrative group or the billing department or the accounting department might want to know what cabinet it comes from. Categories, we have that up there. These are the tags that you can put on a document. Comments you don't normally see in a column because they could be very long. We also have this button up here to show the comments underneath each document, and people tend to use that. There are several dates. There's the date created, modified, accessed, and favorited, which is interesting. Keep in mind that if you copy some stuff in, it may have been modified 2 months ago, may have been modified 2 years ago, but it may have been created on your file system and your network today. So if you're looking for something and you want to find stuff that you copied in and you're looking at modified date and you're wondering why it's not today, well, that's because that travels with the document when the created date is when you actually pulled it into your system. So if I have a CD with a bunch of documents from 2 years ago and I pull them in today, their created date will be today because that's when I created them on my hard disk, but their modified date would be 2 years ago. And then accessed. This is also helpful a lot of times to look at documents in order of when you accessed them, not when you created them, not when you modified them, but when you pulled them up. Keep in mind you have all those dates that can be pulled into this column layout and can be very helpful. And then we have a bunch of other stuff that you can kind of go through. Attributes, location, size, type. Sometimes people want to find the biggest documents in a matter. Okay, then you can put the size column in there and sort by size in the descending order, and you'd have the biggest at the top. So if I want to add author code, I would just do that, and there it is, author code. I am the author of these documents. Leanne is the author of that document. Saving. If we right-click, we can save a column template and give it a name. I'm going to call this test, and I'm going to add the notation to the name that it should be deleted later. If you're a manager, you can save it for everyone. If you are not, you can only save it for yourself. And now, if I ever wanted to call that up again, because if I go and access a new set of files, I'm going to go back to the default column layout. But I can open that column layout, simply by going to right-click, then open column layout, and then choosing it from the list. I can go to a different one. Let's go to open column layout, and we'll choose email. That has some email fields, from, to, and when it was sent. I can go back to the one we just created with open column layout and go back to test delete. And finally, if this is the layout that you want all the time, go to customize and make this my favorite view. That means that the next time you come into this type of a list, a type of a document list, this will be the default. You won't have to go and open it. It'll already be there. And I think that's quite a bit about columns. Are we having fun yet, Mary Jo? Of course. No questions, Patty?
No questions, Paul.
Notice how quickly she clicks in there. She's really picking this moderator stuff up. Of course, she's not quite so humble, but we're working on that. If we go at this point to attorney computer systems with an emphasis on that S in the last part of systems, attorneycomputersystems.com, we will be able to find out what's coming up. Now, I'm going to tell you that next month we will be talking about the viewer. Mary Jo's going to take that topic. It's been there for a while, but there's a new inline viewer that's really cool. It's more like an Outlook viewer, and Mary Jo's going to tell you about a lot of different things you can do with that. And I'm going to talk about what to do when you want to take some files with you and take them out of Worldox. There are a couple different options, and it's important to know what the differences are and when to use one and when to use the other. We can find these things by going to attorneycomputersystems.com and clicking on videos, and when we do, we'll get a drop down of all the titles that we have, and these 2 are pre-recorded, and these 4, this is kind of a coverall, but these 4 here are live events. You're currently at the Worldox Virtual User Group meeting, and it's a live event. We also have a Practice Master Virtual User Group meeting, a TABS Virtual User Group meeting, and I host a coffee pot webinar each month where we take an ancillary product like Symphony OCR or the Pensoft payroll for TABS 3, and we get into detail in that sort of thing. But if you click, for instance, on the Worldox Virtual User Group meeting, you will find information about the next scheduled. Of course, we're here now, so this is this one. And it'll tell you what's coming up, what the description is. It'll give you 2 links. They're both the same. Click one of them or the other, and you will get to a GoToWebinar registration screen where you can sign up. Keep in mind that if you sign up, even if you don't attend, Patty, the same Patty that's humbly moderating our webinar right now, will email you the minute this is available in post-production so that you can be the first one to view it in its recorded form. Because as you scroll down here, you will undoubtedly notice that we have all sorts of other content that's been presented in months past. This goes way, way back, years back. In fact, if we scroll down here, we'll see that for the Worldox Virtual User Group meetings, we have 9 pages of this stuff. So that's about, 50, 55 different webinars that have been recorded. And you can search them by browsing like we're doing now, or we can come up to this box and type some word that's going to be meaningful and hit enter or pick from the short list and see what we find that's got that word in the description. So by all means, please take advantage of this recorded content. It's there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Please take advantage of it. And that is it for today. Everybody have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the month. We will see you in December. Thanks.